I am now live. I'm a few minutes early, but I will be starting in a few minutes. Okay, I am going to get started. Welcome back to day 2 of the LinkedIn Masterclass, newsletter masterclass for CEOs and clinical research entrepreneurs. My name is Alicia Moore. I am the CEO and founder of Clinical Science Research Solutions, and I'm also the founder and executive director for I Am Research and Wellness Foundation. Welcome back. Yesterday, we focused on visibility within your LinkedIn newsletters and how I went from invisible to visible. Visibility only just lands attention, it doesn't pay the bills. So today, that leads us into talking about creating authoritative content within LinkedIn newsletters. First off, I want to start with a simple definition. What does authority mean? I have my notes right here. There are 3 definitions that I found. Definition number 1, the power or right to give orders, make decisions, and enforce obedience. Definition number 2, a person or organization having power or control in a particular, typically political or administrative sphere, space. Definition number 3, the power to influence others because of one's commanding manner or one's recognized knowledge about something. Whenever you make the decision to become a business owner, entrepreneur, you are positioning yourself as an authoritative figure, which means now you should be able to create content that screams you are in the position, the power to make decisions based upon your business needs. This is how I built my authority, and these are some of the topics that you can talk about within the LinkedIn newsletter. I will give you some of my examples and what I have done. So, example number 1, I made the decision as a CEO, as the authoritative figure, to reach out to a vendor for partnership because I saw the benefits of how their system will be integrated into my systems and how they could benefit from what I have to offer and how their clients can benefit on what I have to offer. As the authoritative figure, as the CEO and founder of my own business, I made the decision to reach out to them because I knew the benefits that would come from it. So that is a topic that I can talk about within my LinkedIn newsletter. The example number 2 is, as the CEO authoritative figure, I made the decision to hire a grant writer, because with that, now it's placing me in a position as the go-to person, for instance, that can not grant, but demonstrate opportunities, scholarship opportunities for those who are interested in my mentorship programs and or my courses. Now people can see like, oh, you know what? I can go to her because now she has these opportunities that maybe the next person doesn't have for me. That's going to help alleviate financial stress. That's another topic that I can talk about within my LinkedIn newsletter. The fourth one, oh, and then within the grant writing and experience, my grant writer and I, we are working on securing financial grants, 50K plus, 300K plus, to help support the infrastructure of my business, of my institution. And again, because I made that decision, that is going to help me create authoritative content within my LinkedIn newsletter. Another example that I can give to you is I made the decision to create mentorships and courses. I made that decision because I know the benefits that will come from it whenever you have clientele that want to maybe learn how to open up a research site in a rural area, or you have clients or candidates that need the education to learn how to become a PI or CRC or CRA. I made the decision to implement that into my business. So that is actually content, authoritative content that I can talk about within my LinkedIn newsletter. Because again, since I decided to become a CEO, I have now positioned myself to talk about the initiatives or the things that I'm doing within my business to help build that infrastructure, to help build a strong support that's going to trickle on down to, your B2B clients, even B2C clients, and the vendors that I am working on partnering with. So it's a whole ecosystem that I have worked on building that now I can actually talk about within my LinkedIn newsletter. I have positioned myself in a way that people can come to me and ask me how to do those certain things, or they can read about it in my LinkedIn newsletter. I'm essentially creating a blueprint for you to follow. And what you can do is extrapolate that information out of the LinkedIn newsletter and apply it to your own business and tweak it along the way, because every business, every area, there are nuances to every space that you get into. Not every business model will be the same because the needs of your community, the people in your community, is totally different. The fourth example, I will talk about being invited to conferences. Again, we can go back to what I discussed yesterday about posting on LinkedIn or, writing your newsletters. Whenever it comes to conferences, you have positioned yourself as the leader, as a CEO. People see that now you are going to a conference to talk about what you're doing as a leader, the business initiatives that you're implementing into your organization to help build that foundation. Now, with that being said, a lot of times at these conferences, you have photographers, videographers that are taking pictures, and some of those pictures you will be able to take and maybe add it into your LinkedIn newsletter and talk about how you or why you were even invited to the conference and the things that you discussed at the conference that's positioning you as a leader. What got you to that point? Podcast interviews, the same thing. Also, for me personally, again, if we want to go back to the definition of authority, what built my authority? Let's say for the partnerships, you make a business decision that's going to benefit the needs of your company. And then also, because you are an authoritative figure, now apparently you have the knowledge to share within your LinkedIn newsletter on how you or why you made that particular decision, and how others may be able to make that decision for their businesses, and really, again, extrapolate information from you or from myself and create their own blueprint along the way. As I mentioned before, I made the decision to have my courses accredited along with my institution that's following after the accreditation of the courses. And at that point, that's part of the process I'm going through. That's something that I can talk about within my LinkedIn newsletter. And maybe it can inspire others to see why accreditation is important if they choose to go that route. So this moves into how to write authority content, or what you should actually say within your LinkedIn newsletter. What kind of content can you create? So let's go back to the examples that I mentioned a few minutes ago. Whenever I spoke on the decision to contact a vendor because I like their systems and I wanted to integrate their system into my educational programs, mentorship programs, I can talk about the process that led me to the onboarding process that where I am now. So say for instance, for example, I can, within my LinkedIn newsletter, I can talk about what this particular vendor has to offer, why I sought them out in the first place, what benefits will their systems have within my ecosystem, how can my ecosystem benefit their business needs, and how can my ecosystem, whenever I integrate their platform into my system, my courses and mentorship programs, how can their clients benefit from my services and or products? That's a process, that's authority content that I can actually talk about within my LinkedIn newsletter. And then you can even take it a step further. What was the onboarding process like? You can give like a general idea, not the specifics, of what the onboarding process looks like whenever you are wanting to partner with a vendor. What are the benefits from partnering with a B2B client? Also, whenever you step into entrepreneurship and or a CEO, you have to be proactive and not wait for somebody to tell you you are the authoritative figure in the niche that you're in and the knowledge that you have and whatever your capabilities of teaching. You have to present yourself as that person, as the go-to person, and you have to write your story, write your process accordingly, how it's going in real time. People can tell whenever you're faking it and it's not real. But for me personally, I try my best to take you all through the steps of what I am doing to show you that it is not an overnight process. It takes time to get from point A to B. And that is how I made the decision as the authoritative figure to create these mentorship programs, because a lot of times we're not aware of all the steps and all the processes that goes on behind the scenes. Sometimes we just hear an overview of what it takes to get from point A to B, and all the intricacies, sometimes that's left out and you're not aware of it. So again, I made the decision to build out a particular program to step people through the process as a leader, because this is what I want you to know. This is what I'm teaching you. Again, that's another topic, content you can enter into your LinkedIn newsletter. So back to the vendor. What are some topics that you can actually talk about within, after you have chosen that vendor and they have chosen you and said yes? What kind of conversations took place Who initiated what? You can talk about the conversational process, what you had to send to that particular vendor. Let's say if it was a demo, they asked you to send a demo. Within that demo, you can take part of that process and talk about it within your LinkedIn newsletter. How did you create that demo to send to the vendor? That's another way of presenting yourself as a leader, authoritative figure, and another way to create authority content within your LinkedIn newsletter. Of course, is demonstrating leadership. Let's see, what's the next one? You can also talk about how to create the right content or the right product for your potential vendor that you're looking to partner with and their clients, so that it will, benefit both everyone, the stakeholders, everyone that's included. You can teach people how to create content like that in your LinkedIn newsletter. You can't really do it on a LinkedIn post like on your feed. I think it's just too much details, but you can take that information and break it down in your LinkedIn newsletter. And you can also share like a demo of you creating like maybe a snippet of that particular content or like a template. That's another way of creating authority content within your LinkedIn newsletter. You can actually talk about the template that you created in order to create the demo itself. So there are many different ways, there are many different avenues you can take to create LinkedIn newsletter content that screams authority, that screams you're the go-to person for that particular topic, for that particular product and or services. So authority content, what kind of content can we talk about specifically, as I mentioned, with grant writers? I can share the milestones that I have been achieving with my grant writer. I can share screenshots. I can share the process in which I took to even contact a grant writer on LinkedIn. Then I can even go as far as talking about the intricacies or the things that we discussed, some certain topics that can be discussed that you can look for whenever you are hiring a grant writer. You want to make sure that grant writer is very thorough. Mine is very thorough, love her to death. She knows exactly what she's talking about. Another topic that you can discuss is after you have partnered with a grant writer, what are some things you have to do on your end to provide to the grant writer? So those are some, that's content pillars that I can discuss within my LinkedIn newsletter. So say for instance, obviously you have to, for me, I have a nonprofit organization. I can talk about the steps to go about creating a nonprofit organization. Then I can even go through the steps of telling you the process, how long it will take for the IRS to approve your organization. I can also talk about, after it's approved, what you and your grant writer will discuss. Depending upon your organizational needs, he or she will tell you what kind of grants you're going to be considered for. And even within those steps, I had to take, let's say, for me personally, I had to go through creating a bio sketch. I can take you through that process. I had to, what's another thing? Within the grant writing, there are expense reports. They're going to ask for your expense report. Now you can go through and talk about how to create an expense report and what are some items that you can include in your expense report, because your grant writer is going to want to know about that. Again, that's content that you can add into your LinkedIn newsletter. Then you can go as far as saying, after I have sent my expense report to my grant writer, what did they come back with? What are some of the things that they are showing on the Excel spreadsheet? You can talk about that journey. And I can say for myself, whenever I created my expense report, I sent it to my grant writer. She came back. I had 2 tabs on my Excel spreadsheet. She came back with 11 tabs full of content, data, deadlines that we have to meet, grants that we're going to apply for, the amount that we're going to apply for, the qualifications, if I meet them or not as an organization. So there are many different ways of going about explaining your journey within the LinkedIn newsletter that's going to, again, scream, this is a woman that has authority. She made the decision to hire a grant writer because it's going to help build the infrastructure or help support the infrastructure for her organization and business. Not only that, again, it will help support the clients or candidates that are looking to take one of my courses and or mentorship programs. So there are many, many different opportunities that you can take and create great authority content within your LinkedIn newsletter that's going to help teach people on how they can build their particular business as a CEO entrepreneur. Let's move on to the next one. I mentioned I created mentorship. I made the decision as a business owner, because I have the authority to do so. I decided to create mentorship programs and courses. One thing that I did in my LinkedIn newsletter, I talked about how or why I built a principal investigator baseline foundation curriculum. I can take you through the process on how I created that program course within Thinkific. And then within Thinkific, I can show you how to create quizzes, homework assignments, certificates that they can receive towards the end. And again, that's content that you can share with your audience that may be looking for ways on how to create courses, and maybe the platform. You can talk about the platform that you're using and how it's user friendly. At least that's what I've done. What else? Yeah, I mentioned the course building process. Oh, and then also, let's say, like with the grants, this still ties into the decision for me to hire a grant writer. Because I am positioning myself as an instructor, there are some grants out there that want to see you as an instructor. They want to see you in the leadership position, demonstrating that you have the ability to teach and deliver the content. And how are you delivering the content? And then I can even go as far as talking about ways you can deliver your educational content. So, for example, within the LinkedIn newsletter, I can talk about the format of your courses. Now, if you are going through an accreditation process, there will be more rules and restrictions that you have to follow, but that's still a process you can talk about within your LinkedIn newsletter. So you explain like is it a hybrid model course? If it is, how are you going about doing that? Is it strictly online? You can talk about why and how you're going about doing that process as well. Then, to take it a step further, whenever I mention the accreditation process, I can even go as far as talking about the actual process I'm going through to have my courses accredited. I can take you through each process, through each step, even starting at the beginning on what I did to find a credible institution, reliable, that understands my vision and they understand my passion and they're willing to partner with me. Because whenever you're reaching out as an authoritative figure to these companies, you have to demonstrate you are the leader. You have to demonstrate that you know exactly what you want, and you're coming to them with substance, and you're coming to them even on how the partnership will benefit the both of you. So again, with the Medical Learning Institute, which is the accreditation company that I am partnering with, you can even talk about the steps you took, like the email conversations. How often are you having meetings? Or the proposal, you can even break it down, not given the details. You can talk about what may be in the proposal within your LinkedIn newsletter, something that you can look forward to or have an idea on what it's going to take or the process that it's going to take to have your courses accredited. Again, whenever you're writing authority content within your LinkedIn newsletter, you are doing it from reality. This is a real-time process that you are going through. It's nothing fake. People can tell whenever you're faking it. But if it's real, people can tell whenever you are explaining a real process because it's coming from your particular experience. And as a leader in this industry, as a CEO, entrepreneur, I think it's really important to explain your journey along the way, because at some point in time, we're all going to retire, and the people that's coming behind us, they're going to need to know what steps we took in order to build the infrastructure for our businesses. Then they can take that blueprint, implement it into their businesses, and tweak it along the way as it pertains to the needs of their community, whoever they're partnering with, and their clients. Again, whenever you create this particular content within your LinkedIn newsletters and you're showing people who you're partnering with, that's going to help build trust. Because obviously, if you have big vendor companies that are partnering with you, that is demonstrating that they trust the work that you have. And if they're very well known in the industry, their clients they're going to trust the vendor company, that the vendor company made a good business decision in partnering with you as a business owner because of the services that you are providing, because of the content that you have created that's going to help benefit everyone and not just your business alone. That's what CROs look for, sponsors look for, even vendor companies. They're looking for you to be a trustworthy business owner, entrepreneur, to build content, and the content is going to content or services that's going to benefit their clientele, the whole ecosystem. Okay. You have to shift your mindset from not just an educator, but to an ecosystem builder. It takes a lot to build a business, especially from scratch. I'm building one from scratch, and I like to show people what it takes to build a business from scratch. It does not happen overnight, and it's definitely a different process versus someone being given a business or passed on down to them. It's a totally different process, and your story is different, which that's okay. But again, the companies and even your clientele, they're looking for you to explain that particular process on how you're going about building your business, creating that digital footprint. Again, you don't have to divulge all your information, but just enough to say that you are the CEO, you are the business decision maker within your company, because you know what it takes to actually build that particular ecosystem and to make it successful. The beauty of this is, as I said, I'm documenting my system, what I'm creating, using LinkedIn to add in that authority content in real time. And this is leading me to will lead me to 6-figure or more mentorship deals. The grants, we're looking at 6 figures, for applying for grants because I made the decision as the authoritative figure to hire a grant writer, and eventually it will receive national recognition. If you're trying to go that big, it just depends on your business needs, your business structure, on what you're building. Those are some of the things to think about and the content that you can actually add into your LinkedIn newsletters. If this part of the journey has resonated with you, creating authority content within your LinkedIn newsletter, how to do it, I can teach you how to do it. My personal experience as the trustworthy go-to expert in my area, in my business, then you will definitely love my LinkedIn Authority Accelerator, where I do like a full deep dive on the steps you can take to become visible, the authoritative figure, how to create high ticket programs, etc. So if you are ready to, if you have more questions, you can DM me. This actually concludes this particular masterclass. Day 3 will be talking about, let's take a look at it. Okay. Day two, we're going to be talking about subscriber growth. I hope to see you all on day 2 or day 3, excuse me. Again, if you are on YouTube, subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter. We can become LinkedIn friends. And then, as you know, if you're on LinkedIn, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if there aren't any questions, concerns, this actually wraps up the particular live event masterclass for today. If you have any questions, please inbox me. The replay will be available until by the end of the weekend. After that, the lives will be removed and placed within Thinkific. It will be housed in Thinkific for people to watch the replay. If nothing else, this concludes today's lesson, and I hope you learned something from me. And I will see you back tomorrow.